Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are, what time you are watching this. My name is Winston, and this is another episode of ICAD Audits. So today we're looking at VirtaMove. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into it. So right away above the fold, the first headline that they have is move your applications to modern operating systems and servers. And then it says find out more about intelligent migrations, talk with a migration expert. I'm assuming clicking this button would lead to booking a call. I like the graphic here. For some reason, yeah, I really like this graphic here. I think it kind of speaks to what they do, but even with someone who doesn't necessarily have like a strong IT background, I can still appreciate the graphic as a marketer and a creator, or creative, I should say. Migrate source to destination. Um, all right, so I love this. I absolutely love this, and here's why I love it. It basically speaks to what they do without having to use words and much explanation to explain what they do and how they do it. Right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as I mentioned, for someone like me who or anyone else who isn't necessarily versed or adept in the IT tech space, in terms of from a technical background, this really helps us to understand immediately what it is that the company does and how they actually help in terms of their value prop. Right away, you can say these are the old legacy systems or operating systems. And then with VirtuMove, you can convert to the new operating system. I guess moving from more of a local hosting platform to more of a cloud hosting platform. So this is good. I like this. I like this. All right. So scrolling down, it says recent blog posts. All right, we'll get back to those in a minute. Improve security and app modernization can start now. Let's talk about your application migration need. Let's build a plan to get you there and schedule a call. I'm assuming to book a meeting. The migration partner of choice for hundreds of companies, and they have some pretty big names here. So that's good, social proof. All right, and that's pretty much it. All right, so the homepage is a bit bare. In terms of, I wish they would have more information. I mean, I think up here is fairly good. I mean, I get a sense right off the bat just from the headline what it is that they do and the value or service that they offer, and then it's kind of cemented here with this graphic here, this image. But then I wish they would actually speak more to what the company does, like what services do they offer, or more about their value prop, or what's the benefit to the client or customer that actually chooses to go with them. All right, so let me click on one of these blog posts to see what it's about. Legacy operating systems and non-compliance, the cost of doing business, data protection authorities and bodies, data protection regulations. All right, so they kind of give you some content here. The trouble with outdated systems, damage, data breaches, fines and penalties, difficulty. Why do legacy systems persist despite the risks associated with legacy systems? Many organizations continue to use them to run business critical application. They might lack budget, lack required budget or resources they might want to avoid disrupting the operation. All right. I like the fact that they have blog content. Let me click on another one before I actually give my my feedback on the blog content. Let's click on this one to see what it's about. What is lift and shift? Sometimes referred to as rehosting, is a process of migrating an exact copy of an application or workload and its data store and operating system. Disadvantages: migrating as is means few agility gains, virtual application, leave legacy systems behind. All right. And I see that it's actually a content manager that wrote this. And all right, so I guess the point that I want to make is still valid. Obviously, whatever product or service they offer, it's very technical, right? And the blog posts to me come across as somewhat of beginner level content, not advanced level content, right? So someone who is technical, they already know all these problems, right? They already know about all these things. Someone who is more technical and advanced in their knowledge in this area, they're going to want to see the type of content that they don't already know, or probably a different perspective that I didn't even think about. This blog post and the one before reads to me, which I mean would make sense considering that it's a marketer that wrote it and not necessarily coming from a subject matter expert within the company. It reads as something that it reads as an article that someone wrote using a Google search, right? So it reads as someone who they don't have any expertise on the topic itself, nor did they go out of their way to interview subject matter experts to gain the relevant insights that they would need to write this article. It reads as someone who did a Google search for the information, kind of, pile some information together in the form of a blog post and put together a very basic level post around this specific topic or content. Which is not a good thing in this case. And the reason why I say that is because, as I mentioned, I'm basically repeating myself, but let me say it again for emphasis. This type of company reads as someone who would more target function, the IT function, right? So we're talking about probably people that fall within the data migration specialist community, data security, data infrastructure development, IT manager, a CIO, a CTO, right? So people with very technical backgrounds are not necessarily people who operate in the quote unquote layman world. And a lot of the content here kind of reads as someone, or should I say, it reads as content that's written for someone in the layman world. Which if you're really trying to target the right people with your content, then it needs to speak at the level that they're at, and not necessarily at a beginner level with someone who isn't really familiar with this type of process. Because as I said, it's very advanced, it's very technical in terms of their expertise. It's not something that anyone can just get up and do. So obviously, whoever is reading this, do have some sort of knowledge, some sort of advanced knowledge and expertise they themselves would have acquired over the years. So they're looking for something a bit more advanced as well. All right, let's go to resources, application discovery. All right, let's click on that and see what it is. Discovery and monitoring, get a clear picture of your migration, AI driven. All right, so I'm looking on this page. This just reads to me as a landing page that just speaks more about the product or service that they offer. It doesn't read as a resource, because when I see the word resource that comes to mind, I'm thinking some sort of educational content, or some sort of insightful content that can help broaden my knowledge and scope. And I'm getting none of it, so not necessarily sure what's the point of all of this here. Doesn't necessarily. I think this would have probably been better served on the home page, rather than under the resources page. Click on case studies. All right. The challenge, the pharmaceutical industry is one of the most regulated. Environment solution. All right. So the farm. Yeah, let me read this again in detail. The pharmaceutical industry is one of the most regulated in the world, with frequent compliance audits of many aspects of its business operation. Regulated compliance audits for operating systems primarily are standard practices and compounded with HIPAA fines for. All right, this is just giving me a very generalized overview of the challenge that the industry itself struggles with, not necessarily a challenge that's specific to this client. All right, let me try someone else. Compliance requirements within financial industry escalating support costs due to sprawl for CIBC to reevaluate their current migration practices. All told, their current antiquated technologies were holding up innovation. It was critical to migrate these applications in order to meet. All right, so I would have liked more context. Again, this just reads as something that's very generic, something that anyone within this industry would struggle with, right? It doesn't necessarily tell me about the specific challenge of CIBC. And if the challenge here is outlined in a very generic sense, then more than likely the solution would be very generic as well. All right, so let's move on from there. We already touched on blogs. I don't think I'd necessarily go to, well, let's click on it and see what it says. Become a cloud migration consultant, partner with VirtaMove. Expand your markets and enhance your offerings. Partner with companies that offer application migration. And trusted partners are an extension of our team, enabling our joint customers all over the world. For cloud migration consultant partners, VirtaMove offers more ways to partner with VirtaMove. All right, so there's talking about strategic partnerships here. Let's click on this. For years, we have helped customers repackage, migrate, and refactor thousands of important custom and packaged Windows Server and Linux applications to modern, secure operating systems without recoding. All right, so all of this would have been better served on the homepage. So just putting that out there, compared to traditional migration or app redevelopment efforts, 70% less costly, 80% faster, 100% less stress. All right, so again, this would have been better served on the homepage, right? But given more context, so it speaks about the outcome in terms of 70% less costly, 80% faster. But I would have loved if on the homepage, that is, yes, mention this, but also go into more details as to the specific pain or challenge. So tell me, you're giving me the outcome. I want you to know, explain to me, well, what's the drawback or what's the hindrance as a result. So you're saying it's 70% less costly. All right. So when it's costly, how is that affecting the business, right? Like in terms of problem aware, like make companies or make people who visit the website problem aware, like it's 70% less costly. Well, if it costs us more, that means it takes away budget from probably R&D or other business operational costs that the company may have. Like break it down for me, what not doing action or not taking action will actually prevent, or how it actually hurts the company. Same thing with 80% faster. All right, so if it's slower, then what's the result of that, right? It could be something like, well, when we talk about data migration, there's a downtime because the data is displaced. It's not necessarily organized. We have to take it from one area, package it, and then pull it apart, and then put it back together over to the new modernized system. And that delay may cause inefficiencies in some specific way, right? So actually break down to me, make me aware of what's the problem if I don't fix this, or what's the problem if that virtual VirtaMove actually solves for me as a result of them coming in and helping me as a customer, as a client. So I think, as I said, there's a lot more that could have gone on the homepage, and I think this would have been better served on the homepage. How we define success or mission, modernize the world's application to make organizations more successful and secure. This would have been better served on the homepage right under the main heading. Right, so you talk about modernizing systems, moving applications, then under this you could have said statefully move and modernize the world's server applications to make organizations more successful and secure. Or success metric, we completed moves of application. All right. And again, they speak about the companies that they work with. All right, so I'm gonna click on free trial. Let me see what happens there. All right, so it's just booking up demo. It looks like. Let's see. Oh, it's a free trial. Okay, so I guess we'll have to fill out that information. All right, cool. Solutions. I don't think I clicked on this. So they have two solutions, which is vMaestro. Your hub for planning, managing, and delivering your next generation application migration. Make complicated application dependency mapping easy. I like this. It's a very good line. It's a very good line. Automate your migration with VirtaMove migration orchestration tool. And I tell you the benefits. Intelligent migration process. Step 1, deploy orchestration. All right, so they're going through their process of how it actually works once you implement it. All right, so as I've said in previous videos that I've done, in the past, the other videos that I've done, the problem with product tools or platforms in the tech SaaS space. And I've mentioned this, and I think it's only one company that I've audited so far that actually does it. Show, not tell, right? So if you're telling me, if you're introducing a platform to me, show me the back end of it. Like, do a video, show me how it actually works, right? I don't want to see a screenshot of it. I don't want to see a generic animated video of it. I don't want you to just list the benefits. Like, show me the actual back end of the product. Let me see how it actually works. Walk me through different use cases that I can that I can use to make it work. And don't just put those use cases or those videos on YouTube and expect people to find it there. Like, if people are already visiting your website, then have the videos on your website. I mean, yes, you can host them on YouTube just in case people find you on YouTube, but also distribute them and have them on your website for people who actually visit the website. All right, so let's look on the other one, vMigrate. Achieve effective and optimized application migration to modern. All right, you guys know how I feel about the whole. So the thing is, I've become so numb to industry jargon that when I see words like optimize and efficient and effective and anything along those lines, it's almost like my brain shuts down. Like, my brain literally started shutting down just now. I had to stop reading it because those words, everybody uses those words. They don't mean anything really because they're so overused at this point. So actually, if you say it's achieve effective and optimized application migration, I want you to tell me how. Show me how. Tell me how it actually does that. Right? Lift and shift migrations, move everything, including unused applications, outdated. It's just basically telling me what it does. View demo. All right, so this is just to book a meeting. How VirtaMove helps you make strategic moves. Why choose Virtue? So wait, why choose VirtaMove migrate? Why isn't all of this on the home page? That's what I'm saying. It's like they put all these things in hidden parts of the website and expect people to go out and find them. Like, don't put stuff like this on the home page. Don't expect, all right, this is the number one rule when it comes to a website. Put as much relevant information as possible on the homepage to help people make a decision as to whether or not they want to put you in the consideration set or book a demo, or whether they want to move to the next step from of the buyer's journey, from just being educated to now actually considering your product as an option for them. The reason why you want to put as much information on the homepage as possible is that there's no guarantee that people are going to navigate other areas of the website. So give them not too much, but give them enough that they can make an informed decision as to whether or not they want to move forward, learning more about the company and learning more about the product or service that you offer. So I think this would have been better served on the homepage. All right. So I think that's it. All right, so let's shift over to their LinkedIn page and see what's happening there. All right, so now we're on their LinkedIn page. Migration intelligence, software development. Let's click on about. Our products and services provide a fast, flexible way to move server applications to a cloud or data center without code change. Why isn't this on the website? Encapsulating Windows application in VM OS-free containers, VirtaMove's patented software moves most Windows Server applications with ease. VirtaMove allows you to move applications from an old OS to a newer one and to modernize and move to the cloud efficiently. Okay, let's go to their posts. All right, I haven't posted in a while. The lift and shift strategies are traditional. All right, so they don't really post much, which is a shame because I think a lot of the resources and insights that they have on the website could easily be repurposed and used to share on their company page. So I think that's a huge missed opportunity there. All right, so just to recap on the 5 areas or criteria that we're using for our audit scorecard. So the first one is, do they clearly define and communicate who their ideal customers are, their ICP? Number 2, do they understand their customer pain points? Number 3, the positional messaging shows differentiation. Number 4, they show and tell their value proposition. Number 5, their content strategy that aligns with the 4 just mentioned, plus their overall business goals and what they're trying to achieve. So for number 1, clearly defines and communicates ICP, I gave them a 1 for that. And the reason is that it pretty much isn't there on the website. Like I don't know who VirtaMove is for exactly. It's just a common trend of, let's just try to target as many people in as many industries or verticals as possible, to generate as much customers and market share, which doesn't really work unless you're well, I mean, even if you're a Microsoft or one of those tech giants, I mean, even with them, they still have like subsidiaries and sub brands that will target specific market segments. So it's not, they don't try to sell Microsoft software the same way to every single person, right? There are different segments and niches that they use to target different product and service offerings that they have. I gave them a 1 for that. The only reason why I know it's probably IT professionals that they're targeting is because I'm familiar with the tech space, and I mean, just talking about data migration, I mean, that's anyone could see, that's more for the technical side, more IT side. So anyone could pick that up, but it shouldn't be that I would need to pick it up. They should just simply state it without me having to even think about it. So that's why I gave them a 1. Number 2, understands customer pain points. I gave them a 2 for that as well. Uh, I think they do understand their customer pain points. I don't get the sense that they don't. The problem I'm having is that it isn't communicated on the website, right? And if you're creating website copy or any sort of content whatsoever, doesn't necessarily have to be website, could be a blog post, whatever the case may be. People want to know that you understand their challenges, their struggles, because that will help the message to resonate more with them. And VirtaMove, I didn't see them doing that whatsoever throughout their entire website or even on their LinkedIn page. So I give them a 2 for that. Positioning and messaging that shows differentiation, gave them a 1, because again, there literally exists no positioning. There is a bit of messaging there, but not enough to the point where it shows differentiation, where I can say for a fact, okay, I understand why VirtaMove is different than every other data migration company, platform, service that exists out there. Like I'm not getting that. And possibly the reason for that is because they haven't really figured out and clearly defined their ICP. So, the ICP, figuring out your ICP comes first, and the value prop that you offer to that ICP comes first. And then from that usually stems your positioning and messaging. Shows and tells value proposition, I gave them a 3 for that one, because throughout the website they do communicate their value proposition in terms of benefits, a bit of social proof, 1 and 2 case studies. I still think they could have done more to show the value proposition and less telling. And again, that comes in the form of probably some product highlight videos, without to show the back end of the product itself. Just doing like a product walkthrough video or specific use cases to say, well, this specific feature, this is how you can use this specific feature based on this specific scenario or use case. And they didn't have that, outside of the benefits. So I gave them a 3 for that one. Content strategy that aligns, I also gave them a 3. Reason is that they do, it's a good start. I'll put it that way. It's a good start in terms of the content that they've created. But as I mentioned before, I still think they need something more in-depth, more advanced for advanced readers, because more than likely, those are the people who will be visiting a VirtaMove website, and also to repurpose a lot of that content to use for their social media channels. So I gave them a 3 for that one. As I said, it's a good start, but they could do a lot more. So I gave them a total for all of that of 10 out of 25, which works out to a 40 overall average. And 40 means that they are, drum roll, please. It means that they're just hanging in there. Right. So in closing, here are more specific recommendations that I have for VirtaMove. For one, they should speak to customers to identify what makes VirtaMove different and use in their messaging and their positioning, which I just mentioned. Focus the homepage on communicating their value proposition a lot more and highlight pains that VirtaMove, whether it's the product or the service itself, actually solves. Develop ideal client profile to identify who are your best customers and focus on driving customer acquisition and product innovation for that group, which I did kind of touch on just now. More in-depth case studies that highlight specific pain points and shows VirtaMove's expertise in solving them, because that would help them differentiate their brand as well as develop brand authority in the market. More in-depth content based on insights from subject matter experts and less Google searches that gives generic content on a particular topic. And finally, focus on driving brand and leveraging social media platforms more to do so. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of ICAD Audits. Tune in next week where I'll go through and do auditing and assessment of another company. Until then, take care and all the best. Goodbye.